Speaking of airports, have you ever heard like of a flight going missing?
I think so.
Okay, so in 2014, there's actually like a missing flight, which was the Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, and this flight was supposed to take off on March 8th, 2014, right? And it was supposed to be from Malaysia to China. Okay, and I'm gonna tell you like the whole like the data that like people have, right? So the flight took off at 12:41 a.m. local time, and it reached an altitude of 10,700 meters, which is like 35,000 feet in like American. At 1:01 a.m. like at 1 a.m. Then right, so like it was just a regular airplane reaching going up, right? Then later on, the aircraft communication addressing and reporting system. So I'm guessing it's like how they communicate to like those towers they have, right?
The towers that have at every single airport.
And it also like those like towers also record like how the aircraft is like doing, if it's like everything's good or not. This flight sent its last transmission at 1:07 a.m. and then it was switched off.
What the hell?
Switched off. Think about it. And like there was no malfunction, like it was just randomly switched off. So like why was it switched off, right?
Or was it turned off, or was it
that's what people are saying. Okay, and then later on, the last like voice communication from the flight to like the tower occurred at 1:19 a.m. And then later on at 1:21, the plane's transporter, which was like the aircraft control, like the tower, it was switched off again. Switched off.
Bro.
Not like it didn't like stop working. It was just
literally like
off.
Switched off.
Then they were like, okay, people were like, okay, we can't come in contact with the plane no more. Like, what do we do? What do we do? So they were like, okay, let's like involve the military. Because like, how like they have like special like technology and everything?
Yeah.
So at 1:30 a.m., they included the Malaysian military and civilian radar, which began tracking the plane. And it turned out, so at this time, it was supposed to go from like Malaysia's right here and then Asia's over here, right? It was supposed to go straight, but then all of a sudden it like curved back.
Turned back, like going back to where it came from.
It did. So and then the Malaysian military like saw this, but then all of a sudden, like at 2:22 a.m., they lost contact with it.
But it was on the way back.
It was on the way back. So that's what they were saying, and then like they were saying that it was on the way back, and then all of a sudden they just
lost communication, lost the signal.
Lost the signal to the plane, so they didn't know like where it was going or anything. So it was like all pretty weird. So they were like, "What do we do? What do we do? What do we do?"
Yeah.
And then they were just like, "Well, I guess we gotta like search for the plane."
Because that's when like that in that situation, obviously, like when you lost the signal, you don't know if it's in the air.
Yeah.
Or you don't know if like during the air, like they turn off the signal.
Yeah.
Because I know obviously to turn off the signal, it has to be like a pilot or something that knows what they're doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or someone specialized in that. Or maybe it went in the water and you have to send out the boats to like do the sonar thing on the water and all that.
Yeah, so they were like, okay, we gotta search for the plane and see if like anything, like if any airports reported or anything like that. So they the first thing they thought was like, okay, what if it crashed, right? So they looked like around the Indian Ocean, because it was like surrounding the Indian. I'm pretty sure the Indian Ocean surrounds like Malaysia and like the surrounding countries. So they looked through there, and then like they looked around Australia and Asia, and then later on, the UK Air like Accidents Investigation Branch, they conducted on March 24th that the flight crashed in the Indian Ocean.
What the?
So they was like, okay, it was a wreckage. Like it's for sure crashed.
Also,
right?
I think I saw there was a Netflix.
Yeah, there's a Netflix show about it, but like I haven't watched it. Have you watched it?
So I watched it. Essentially, like they crashed, right? And as soon as they like, because it took days, because you don't want to say it crashed and it didn't crash. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And obviously, it got to the point where like they were all grouping all the families, you know, and all the flight attendants and all that, and the pilots, and they grouped them in a big like city hall thing. Yeah, they're like, unfortunately, we don't know what happened, but more than likely,
it was a plane.
By now, because they have time. They had a timer on the fuel. So obviously, when you fill it up, the airplane, you're like, okay, well, we know based on the fuel we put in, this is how much. If it is in flight still, how much we'll have in time left. And once that timer went off, they were like, well, we for sure know, unless it was refueled somewhere else, there's no more gas in the airplane. So it had to come down, land, or crash.
Yeah, because think about it. This plane, like, took off on the 8th, and they didn't include the wreckage until the 24th. So that's, like, more than 10 days.
That's crazy, man. Like, I can't imagine being... What do you think happened? Have you heard about the thing that they're saying that the aliens?
No,
you
I
haven't
haven't.
seen the video?
No.
So there's a video. There's a video going out there where, like, I think it's a military camera. But the thing that's weird, right? This is a weird thing. That the camera, I think military, that the military camera is, like, following, like the movement. It's like the camera is moving with it.
Really?
And it's the airplane's in the air. And then the sus thing is this. There's little circles. I don't know. You haven't seen this going viral like on TikTok? Like, there's little circles going around the airplane. It's like in a thermal imaging.
Yeah.
And then the circles are going around the airplane.
That's weird.
And then I don't know if it like goes in the clouds or something like that, and then boom, gone.
Like, you can't see it no more?
I think you can't see it no more, or that's where the video ends. I don't remember, but there was, like, they were saying UFOs or whatever.
Yeah.
Going around, like 3 of them or 4 of them, like circling the airplane.
That's kind of crazy.
Because
I heard the alien one was, like, the first, like, one of the theories of, like, why this, like, plane disappeared. The other one was because of hijacking. Because they thought it was really weird how, like, the communication systems and everything was switched off.
But think about it, right? If it was hijacking, obviously when you do that, you're gonna have maybe like, hey, yo, I want this, and that, or I want something to happen,
yeah,
and then
that's what I was thinking too.
And there will be communication instead of just like complete silence, you know?
Because I was like, if you're gonna be hijacking a plane, you're gonna have a motive, right? Like, you're either gonna want money or like something like that, right? But to switch up your communication and just go, like, take off the plane from there is just like, what is your motive at that point? Because you have nothing to do.
Another thing they were saying is that maybe it was a pilot. So
okay, wait,
maybe
I got information about that.
So it was a pilot, and that because obviously the pilot knows everything, right, in the airplane, and so the pilot was going through something or financial trouble, something like that.
So basically, they went inside his, like, home, right, and they tried to investigate and find something to do, and then in 2016 they found that, like, I guess pilots have, like, at-home flight simulators, right?
Obviously to practice and stuff.
Yeah, to practice on over. And they found that, like, he was flying, like, he has practiced flying over the same path that the plane was, like, went when it disappeared.
I mean, obviously when it's like that, then maybe. But, like, I was always questioning, right? I was like, okay, so if you're doing this, maybe they won't find out, but if eventually they're going to find out that they're going back, you know what I mean? And then obviously there's 2 pilots, not just one.
No,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? So what did you do to the second pilot? Like obviously, like, yo, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Because the guy you're talking about, I think he was the main, because you know how there's a captain and co-pilot?
Yeah.
That was the main captain. And this is what they were saying is that maybe, like they say, they don't know, it's conspiracy theory, that maybe what happened was that since he knew everything about the plane, he something about the pressure, the air pressure in the cabin, which will go everybody to sleep.
Really?
Which will go make everybody go to sleep, and then when the air comes on, they have their own mask.
Yeah.
Obviously the pilots have the best one because they're the pilots. They would just put the mask on, and everybody would pretty much go to sleep.
That's kind of crazy.
I was like, I don't know about that one.
So with that being said, do you think, like, their motive was, like, if it was, like, them, the reason why they disappeared, do you think it was, like, because of, like, suicide or, like, mass murder?
The thing is that what doesn't make any sense, well, based on, like, the Netflix thing, is that they went over there where they were coming from. They went over.
Yeah, they did.
It was like, because you know how, like, what was the city again? Where they came from, obviously ocean, and then they crossed the land and into another ocean, and that's where they got another pin, another signal. They were like, that was, I think, the military radar one.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, what's going on? They went halfway, came back, and then crossed us into the other ocean, and that was the last pin. But then that's when they were trying to figure out the satellites. And then all that information it just didn't make any sense. And then they were like, instead of, like, doing all this, it crashed. But I don't think they ever found out what happened. Where I think some breaking things was like...
Oh, they did find some, like, some pieces from, like, the plane. So they found, like, they have 27 pieces, like, possibly confirmed that were from the flight, and they have 17 pieces that were likely from the flight.
But is there some that's confirmed?
There's
so
some
it did go
confirmed.
down in the ocean.
Yeah, that's what people, based on these, like, the debris from the plane, they think, like, it was probably a wreckage.
So probably, like, I don't know, thunderstorm or something went down. I don't know. But
But
think
the
about
thing about if there was a thunderstorm, like wouldn't they have like weather like warnings? Like wouldn't they know about the weather?
yeah, because they have obviously forecasted for the weather.
Yeah.
They'll know like, hey, we're gonna go through a thunderstorm or we're gonna have a lot of turbulence. Maybe something was wrong with the airplane. I don't know. But that video that I watched, well, if it is
The
real,
aliens.
there was like circles around the.
Or think about it, if it was the aliens, do you think like maybe the aliens like messed up the planes like
The navigation system.
Yeah, the navigation system and the whole thing. And
Because
that's why
that's how pilots. Obviously, you're a pilot, so you've been to many flights. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're not gonna know where to go. So obviously, everything is based on the navigation. But if you said the signal came off, then maybe something like an EMP type thing, or I don't know, like it just shut all the communications off, the navigation.
because it would make sense if like the aliens like messed up the plane system and in general.
And then they were blind up there, like, yo,
yeah,
where
they
do
were like,
I go?
what do we do?
Well, all
or
I know
anything?
is that I'm coming from this way, so maybe if I go this way,
Yeah.
the way back. But
So-
you're not gonna know where the runway is or the airport, you know.
Yeah, and that's probably like what kind of like led to the wreckage was probably like the plane system like not working no more.
But at the same time, like some of the passengers would have been like, "Yo, we should have been there by now. It's like this time." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they were all freaking out. Or the pilots. Imagine the pilots like, "Yo, I don't know where I'm at."
Imagine like all the pressure and everything. Like
Yeah,
that
it
would
takes
go.
a big, especially in the main pilot. Like, "Yo, you gotta figure it out, or we're gonna go down."
That's like I don't know, the whole flight, like the disappearance is like pretty crazy.
And let alone like I already hate like flying. I'm scared of heights. So like I hate flying, especially like it's just the part where like all right, so you're going fast, right, to the runway, you're going up, and then you're pretty much like nose is up, you're going up, and it starts tilting. I'm like, oh hell no, man. That's when I be grabbing onto the seat, yellow like firm and all that. But
Well, I don't think flying's like that bad.
Well,
like
because you're not scared of heights, but I am.
Not really. So I'm like pretty good with it.
But
But yeah, this whole thing happened and it was pretty bad.